Okay, we'll call to order the meeting, Board of Public Works for Monday, August 5th, 2024 in the City Hall Council Chambers. Item 2, approval of minutes of the July 15th, 2024 Board of Public Works meeting. Motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 3, citizens' comments. Citizens' comments. There are none. Item 4, construction updates presented by Tim Rasmussen, Street Superintendent, and Josh Moritz, City Engineer.
Good evening. Through the last several weeks, we were able to complete the ditching, tiling, and dirt reestablishment on a number of mill and place projects. Those projects include 11th Adams to Locust and Locust 13th to 11th, Palmetto from Blodgett to Daggy. We have plans to get started this week with the same process on 15th Street from Peach to Palmetto. And our plan is to get as many of the mill and place roads ditched and tiled as we can, with American Asphalt being scheduled to pulverize the week of 8/19. So American Asphalt's shaping crew was in town today, and they're set to complete the final grading on Lincoln south of 14th Street tomorrow. We do have a trailer of castings ready to follow behind them and set structures so the binder layer can be paved on Lincoln. Last week, we were able to get 12th from Adams to Locust and Galvin north of 4th Street there through the railroad tracks. Paved and pavement markings have been completed. We do have to complete one additional railroad crossing marking south of the 4th Street intersection, and I expect to get that completed here this week if the weather cooperates. Last week, we started the last of the colored crosswalks, and this week we plan to switch traffic over to complete the other half of those intersections. This crew will be then going back out to Veterans to complete additional catch basin and pavement repairs. I would like to give this crew credit completing the colored crosswalks, the repairs, as they have run into their fair share of challenges between pinch saw blades and work zone with close proximity to the traffic going past them. They also had additional heaving out in their repaving of the colored crosswalks with the heat last week. So the crew has overcome some difficult challenges, but they are providing a quality product out there. Lastly, our sign department was busy with the setup and takedown of the traffic control for the Hub City Days. Also early last week, they set up the lane drops for the colored crosswalks, and they did get 1 day of crosswalk painting in last week before it rained later in the week. This week, they'll continue with the traffic control changes on Central to allow the concrete crew to work the other half of those intersections. And we'll also complete some of the additional railroad and crosswalk painting as long as the weather cooperates. At the end of this week, we do have a road closure request to set out for in front of St. John's Church on Blodgett. With that, that's a construction update for the street division. Any questions?
Good. Didn't we recently approve the purchase of a piece of equipment to bore in for the concrete panels?
Yes.
Is that online?
It is online. We did have a little difficulty with the bits that they provided, but they are using it out on Central Avenue. So we no longer have to use local contractors. We are using our own, and everything has seemed to be working great there with that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good to hear.
Appreciate the approval of that.
Josh, do you have anything to add?
I do have a couple of things. I was just going to share my screen of an overview of Green Acres, just easier to comprehend where we're at. So the status of the Green Acres project, the water main installation is complete on 23rd Street and Ironwood Avenue. Sanitary laterals and water services are being installed on 23rd Street and Ironwood Avenue. Water main and storm sewer connections at Washington Avenue are complete. The pavement restoration in that intersection, I believe the concrete's in. I don't think the overlay has been repaved yet, excuse me. On 21st Street itself, about 200 feet of the roadway is constructed. That's drain tile, that's sub-base and base, so there's access for the first 200 feet or so. The developer plans to strip the lots and dig foundations this week on lots 1, 2, and 3, which is on the north side of 21st at Washington Avenue. Contract 2023-04. That should say 2024-04. 14th Street, Maple Avenue, Divine Avenue. Sanitary laterals and water services are being installed between Cherry Avenue and Vine Avenue. Storm sewer is installed from the west end all the way to Cherry Avenue. And the roadway base and sub-base is up to Cedar now and should be completed by the end of the week. And finally, add the road trail. No real activity yet. We do have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for next week, Wednesday, when we can expect to get a schedule from the contract. That's all I have. Questions?
But
Thanks for the update, Josh. So 14th Street seems to be going well. Is it ahead of schedule, on schedule, or behind schedule?
At our last progress meeting, they're pretty close to schedule. It's not likely it will be open to traffic come fair time. There will be access across 14th on Cherry for access into the west side of the fairgrounds, if you will.
So that's big news, I guess. So the people at the Fair Association know that?
Yes, there will.
Okay,
Dale's
okay.
been included in all our construction progress.
Okay. I haven't had any complaints from residents. Going well with the work and adjacent residents?
Yeah, we've had quite a few calls about special assessments, but not real complaints about the project.
Okay, thank you.
all right. Update to municipal code, chapter 11, public nuisance 11-06, weed control, presented by Tim Rasmussen, street superintendent.
So changes to the weed ordinance were necessary with the recent request and approval to allow pollinator-friendly habitat within the city limits. With the update, the street division worked closely with Wood County Land and Water Conservation Department to assure the ordinance included weeds on the NR 40 list of restricted and prohibited species, while also taking into account non-NR 40 species that can pose a human health hazard. The changes were reviewed and approved by the Wood County's Land and Water Conservation Specialist. The changes were to paragraph 2, which specified certain noxious weeds or weeds. The species removed were done because they were neither on the NR 40 list or pose a human health hazard. And species were added to give example of prominent NR 40 and human health hazard species for our area. It is important to note that paragraph 2A and B remain the same. These sections control the maximum height of residential properties in both developed and undeveloped areas within the city. That is probably our most called on weed ordinance complaint is purely the height. So we wanted to make sure that part of this code remain the same. Attached is the existing ordinance along with the edited version, and staff recommends to forward updates to the municipal code, chapter 11, public nuisance 11-06, weed control to the common council for their consideration. Any questions?
Go ahead, Brent.
Not a question, but I just wanted to thank you and everyone who put the research into this. And I know that Jim and Melissa from Marshall Monarchs also appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, entertain a motion. Mike, second, Brian. I'll just make one more comment on that. I know I had talked to you today. I think we should take a strong look at the city and see if there's more areas where we can do this.
Okay.
Anytime we can cut down on the vast mowing plus help pollinators is probably a very good idea. So, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 6, request for proposal for design engineering services. Excuse me. To the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from 14th Street to East 4th Street, presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works.
Okay, back in 2023, the city of Marshfield was selected to receive federal funding through the STP Urban Program for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 14th Street to East 4th Street. This project will be designed and bid let through the DOT process, which will require the city and the DOT to hire a consultant for design services. In January of 2023, the city entered into a state municipal agreement for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 14th to 4th Street, a copy enclosed. This project differs from previous projects as the city applied for an 80% federal and 20% local funding for both the design and construction processes. In the past, the city has funded 100% of the design process itself. Due to the federal funding, the city for the design process, the city shall adhere to Wisconsin DOT Facilities Development Manual, Chapter 8-5 Consultant Services and securing consultant selection. This process requires the city to select a consultant solely based on quality-based selection, or QBS, process. The QBS process does not allow us to discuss any items associated with cost or hours for the design until the consultant has been selected. The process requires the city to send out an RFP to a minimum of 10 qualified consultants based upon the DOT's consultant selection list, and also requires that the city receive at least 3 proposals for said services. Following the submittal process of proposals on August 28, 2024, the selection committee will rate and ultimately choose a consultant based on qualifications. The selection committee will make recommendations to the DOT for the approval of the process. The DOT will review and provide approval of the consultant selected. Then we can begin negotiations for services in conjunction with the city consultant and WisDOT officials. A copy of the request for proposals is attached. The format is very similar to previous RFPs used for STP urban projects. Construction is currently programmed for 2027. A selection committee made up of engineering division staff, the Board of Public Works member or members, will evaluate the proposals and bring a recommendation forward to the DOT for their approval. Therefore, I'd recommend approval of the following actions from the Board of Public Works. Approve the request for proposals for design and engineering services for the reconstruction of South Vine Avenue from East 14th Street to East 4th Street and authorize staff to solicit proposals. Appoint a member from the Board of Public Works to the selection committee and authorize the Director of Public Works to submit the DT 1515 paperwork to the DOT personnel confirming the chosen consultant and negotiate a 3-party agreement for design and engineering services. So on there, I have attached STP Urban grant program, as well as a list of consultants that I was intending to send the RFP to, as well as a list of people that I requested to be part of the review committee.
Tom, are you there? You kind of timed out on us.
Yeah. I don't know if he's complete or not.
Well, it sounded like he got through it.
He stated his recommendation.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I could, I would recommend Mike O'Reilly, the chair, as being part of that review committee. If you need a motion, I would make that a motion.
Second.
Guess we'll move forward with that one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I do have a question. The process, Josh, maybe you can answer this. Have we been through this before because of the size of the grant or percentage of the grant dollars? Have we been through this process before? DOT?
Through the STP urban process.
Okay.
What's unusual about I'm sorry, we've been through the STP urban process several times. What's unusual about this time is we were awarded dollars for the design also. So the process is very similar to what we've done in the past.
Any other questions? Yeah, I was just curious, is this a possibility for other projects, or is this something that changed in the ability to do this?
I believe there was more funding available this year, so they opened up the design. I may be wrong about that. It might have been that we could have applied for that up front, but
Yeah.
we, in the past, we haven't gotten that for
Okay.
design.
I'm sure that saved a significant amount of money. And it is approved at this point?
Yes, we're in the process of selecting a consultant and
Yeah.
moving forward.
Okay. All right. Guess all those in favor of moving forward?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Can you tell me who made the motion, the original motion for the recommendation? For the entire recommendation, and then you also made the motion to nominate.
Yeah, I don't think we specified, but I would make the motion then to proceed
Oh,
Okay, as one.
Yeah.
Complete motion, okay.
with O'Reilly being representative.
I screwed it up. Okay, so we're done with that one?
Did you make a motion on that or have the motion approved?
Yes.
I could have been a little smoother, Tom, but I kind of patched it together at the end.
Sorry, I got disconnected for some odd reason.
Okay, we lost you right after you got to the end of your recommendation.
Okay.
Okay, so we move forward, everything passed. And item 7 is review changes to policy 5.380, streetlight installation, presented by Tom Turchi, Director of Public Works.
All right, in this one here, what we're basically doing is modifying the street light to light emitting diodes. They're becoming more available and more affordable as we need to update our policy for streetlight installations. The city currently covers costs for approximately 2,099 streetlights. To date, we've successfully upgraded 510 fixtures to LED technology, effectively replacing high wattage, high pressure sodium fixtures. Among these 290 fixtures consumed 100 watts as HPS fixtures, but now only consume 38 watts. Additionally, 220 fixtures previously were at 150 watts, now only function at 57 watts. The reduction in energy consumption is fairly significant. On average, each fixture costs $189 to purchase. Only about 4 or 5 years ago, it was up in the $400 and $500 range. And it costs about $142.48 for the installation of the fixture, for a total of $331.80. Please note these costs are borne by Marshville Utilities and have been reduced due to the focus on energy grant. Over the past 2 years, we've now successfully replaced approximately 1,000 highest pressure sodium fixtures in the city. Therefore, I'd recommend approval of the proposed changes to policy 5.380, street light installation, as submitted.
Any questions? Go ahead, Brandon.
No question.
Assume that's a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Giles, second. Second by Fire. All those in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
There's a trivia question. Streetlight. 2099.
Just a quick comment. If you see the map that's enclosed, the white dots are ones that have now been replaced with LEDs at this point in the city.
All right, moving forward, item 8, addition to 2024 asphalt paving program presented by Josh Moritz, city engineer.
All right, so alleys are included in the city's annual pavement evaluation process, but they're generally given a lower weight when prioritizing projects in the asphalt paving program. The alley between Central Avenue and Maple Avenue from 12th Street to 14th Street is in very poor condition and is in need of repaving. This alley is not in the current 3-year asphalt paving program, but we have an opportunity to repave it this season. So the alley I just mentioned is in very poor condition. Portions of the surface have been removed by 3 utility cuts this summer and also by other work related to the East 14th Street reconstruction project. It would be more cost effective to repave the entire alley at once rather than work around for utility patches at a later date. We Energies is willing to contribute to the city what they would have spent on patching their utility cuts themselves. There is room in the 2024 asphalt paving program budget and in the street division schedule to complete this work this season. I'm at the May 6th BPW meeting. $341,956 of the original funds budgeted for the 2024 asphalt paving program were transferred to the East 14th Street reconstruction project to cover the budget shortfall for that project. Subsequently, a large portion of the overlay planned for South Maple Avenue was delayed until next year, which removed $403,846 from the overall planned asphalt paving program. There's a table in your packet that kind of illustrates this budget breakdown. The original CIP dollar amount for the asphalt paving program, which includes not only asphalt and our other contracted work, but that's an estimate of engineering's labor, street division's labor. That original CIP number was just over 2 million. 342,000 roughly was transferred out to help fund the 14th Street project, which left us with a $1,663,044 remaining budget for the asphalt paving program. Once the asphalt bids came in, the estimated cost of all that work was reduced to $1,865,268. And once the Maple Avenue overlay was reduced, so we eliminated the overlay from Central Avenue to 17th Street, or I should say delayed it till next year. That subtracted $403,846. The projected cost of doing this alley work would be $28,833 for a total estimated asphalt paving program cost of $490,255, which is under the remaining asphalt program budget. So therefore, I recommend that repaving of the alley between Central Avenue and Maple Avenue from 12th Street to 14th Street be added to this year's 2024 asphalt paving program.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, recommended items for future agendas. I see none. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Gonna happen. I'll move to adjourn.
A second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay. Motion carries.